The wind off the ocean tasted like pennies. I was up on a ladder under the Seaview Boardwalk marquee, elbow deep in a junction box, when my phone buzzed twice in my pocket. I climbed down, wiped salt and dust on my jeans, and read the message. Girls' dinner night, might crash at Lisa's. Cute. It was Thursday, shoulder season. Half the lights on the pier were dark to save power. I happened to be fixing Lisa's breaker panel 2 blocks away, so I typed what any married man with both feet on the plank should. The screen blinked as if the words slapped back. 5 calls in a row rang and quit, then a knock at the door of the little electrical closet I was using as a windbreak. Not Maya. One of Evan Lockhart's junior managers, eyes hot. He asked if I could please not text jokes like that because there were optics. I told him optics didn't fix a burnt capacitor. He wilted a little and left. I opened our family location app. We agreed to it when her car got stolen 2 summers ago. The dot that was supposed to be at Lisa's apartment smiled from Pier Lot C near the seawall. Not with Lisa. Not anywhere near. I scrolled our doorbell cam. 2 hours earlier, heels on our porch. Maya walked past the camera with a weekender bag. Not an overnight for a tipsy friend. A plan. Salt air pushed in and tasted colder. I thought about how the marquee above my head lied for a living, painting everything in carnival colors. I closed the box, flipped the breaker, watched the sign blink back to life, and called Lisa. She answered on the second ring, voice tired. At my elbow, she said. Her eyes tracked my phone. I turned the screen so she could read the text. She asked me to post a story from home, Lisa said. I did it and deleted it. I'm not comfortable with this anymore. Where would you go? I asked. If you wanted privacy and an alibi. She looked toward the closed funhouse across the pier. Storage Shed B has a side door. He keeps a spare valet tag on his mirror. He uses Lot C because the cameras there tilt wrong. Not my secret to keep anymore. I thanked her. She gave me that look decent people give when they know you are about to become someone else. Before we go any further, hit the hype button, take a second to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? Lot C stank of salt and old coffee from the cart that never moved. The wind braided the flags overhead. I leaned against a service pillar and waited. Evan arrived in a white convertible that glowed under the sodium lamps like a tooth in a bad mouth. He parked in the red by the fire lane because of course he did. His phone was on speaker. I heard my wife's laugh, the one she used at fundraisers. I stepped from shadows when he grabbed his keys. Lose your manners, I said. He flinched and then smirked, the way men do when they think their money will become a shield between us. You shouldn't be here, Caleb, he said. Go home. I let the wind answer. He reached for the shed door. I pointed at the funhouse. Mirrors need calibrating, I said. 2 minutes, come on. He hesitated. I took the maintenance bypass and met him where the spinning barrel loomed like a drunk giant. He took a step, lost balance, pinwheeled, and swore. Where is she? I asked. With friends, he said, and tried to shove past. I latched the safety gate with 2 fingers, a glassy clink. He was caught in a V of mirrors. He could see himself a dozen times, and none of them knew which way was out. I lifted my phone. Say her name, I said. He curled his lip. You don't scare me. He was right. Scare was a weak word for what I had in mind. I stepped in close and slapped him once, a clean, flat sound that rang the glass. His eyes watered. I spoke into his ear so the microphone could hear. You will never walk through a restricted area tonight, I said softly. You will never park in red again. You will never lie to your father about your spotless record. I unplugged the barrel motor and let it wobble to a stop under his shoes. He flailed, fell to a knee, then stood up, mad, small, You'll be fired, he said. Then I have nothing to lose, I said. He bumped me on the way out. In the half-dark, I snapped a photo of his key fob when it swung from his hand. a little metal rectangle with a booth code stamped on it. I tossed it back to him. I did not need his keys. I needed his habits. Back home, the house was theater clean, candlelit, mint on the air. Maya texted a row of exclamation points, then a selfie of a wine glass, then silence. I sat at the kitchen table and built a box on my laptop named Sponsors. I dragged in the doorbell clip, the Life 360 trail, a screenshot of our card charge at Azul Tapas at 7:12 and again at 8:03 2 blocks away. Table hop to dodge eyes. Efficient. I added a voice memo from the funhouse where Evan muttered starfish, a nickname I had never earned. This is how you become a villain, not all at once, but by organizing facts until they look like weapons. At dawn, I biked to the pier. The convertible slept in the fire lane like a bad dog. The top was down. The clouds were fat with rain that could not decide what to do. I unlocked the overhang sprinkler control, the same test I do before big events, and ran a 30-second flush. Water beaded on the leather and then sank. I called parking enforcement about a fire lane obstruction. When the tow truck hooked the axle, I filmed from the sidewalk like a tourist. Legal. Petty. Perfect. By lunch, the car came back with a bright yellow boot on the wheel and a paper cuff under the wiper. People noticed. People always notice the wrong, bright thing. Workers on break took pictures from the railing and laughed into their sleeves. At home, Maya was all soft voice. "Work was crazy," she said. "How was your day?" "I made things run on time," I said. She smiled with her teeth and touched my arm. I smelled strawberry, the same cheap scent that floats inside Evan's car because it makes him feel young. My stomach went cold. I went downstairs and packed more files into the sponsors folder. I did not confront her. Confrontation would give her room to paint, and I was done being a canvas. Late afternoon, an email hit my phone. Charity night on Saturday. Gold wristbands. Donors. Press. She was listed as MC. Evan listed as operations lead. I went to Lisa's building to check the repaired breaker because that was actually my job. She met me in the hall. "He asked me to run interference if you looked around," she said. "I am not doing this anymore." "Do me one favor," I said. "If you see the donor list, send me a photo." Streetlight shadow cut her face in half. She nodded once like a judge. Friday, I treated the pier like a chessboard. I set ride safety zones to standard e-stop tests we always run before doors open. If someone crosses into a restricted area, the siren calls, the cars coast, the lights turn to calm. It is a safety story the crowd will accept. I scheduled the test to run Saturday night on Motion in 3 places Evan loves to cut through because rules bore him. In the LED booth, I checked the marquee playlist. It pulls sponsor videos from a shared folder. I uploaded a file called sponsor b-roll final.mp4. Inside it, after 30 seconds of generic logos, I cut together a quiet timeline. Doorbell, heels, bag, Life 360 dots sliding from our house to Lot C. The tapas receipts side by side. A still frame of the lopsided barrel and the shape of a man hunched in a mirror. The funhouse whisper transcript in captions only. No illegal access. All my files. All in plain sight. I queued a text drafted to the board chat that would send the second the video rolled. It contained links and timestamps. If I got fired after, at least I would do it like a man turning off a breaker before he cut the line. Clean. That night I sent Evan a maintenance ticket. Lever stuck on haunted ride. Come sign. He arrived annoyed, hair still perfect, a new jacket to replace the one my sprinkler made smell like a gym bag. I let him step onto the catwalk and then flipped off the work lights. The ride glowed in its red and purple. He reached for the railing. I used a zip tie to catch his wrist to steal for less than a minute, long enough for breath to climb his throat, long enough to put a hairline crack in his swagger. "You will run when you hear the siren," I said from the darkness. I snipped the tie and walked away along the catwalk like a ghost that pays taxes. He stumbled out, breathing loud. He did not see me watch him from the exit, hands quiet in my pockets. Back home, Maya accused me of acting strange. "You keep looking at me like I'm a problem to be fixed," she said. "I fix problems for a living," I said. "I put labels on cables and they do what they are supposed to do." She laughed, brittle. Her voice climbed. When it dropped to that PR cadence she uses on radio. "We can get through anything with honest communication," she said. "Start now," I said. She kissed my cheek and went to bed early. I sat up with coffee that had been reheated one time too many. My phone buzzed. Lisa again. One line. "Check the donor roll." Evan added Maya as a beneficiary. Not illegal. Just ugly. A promise for services rendered. A name on a list that says more than any photograph ever could. I added it to the box. Charity night came in slick. The wind smelled like fryer oil and rain held back by scheduling. The pier wore its friendly face. Maya wore a blazer the color of a storm cloud and a smile trained to hold its shape. Evan glided, boot-free now, but the internet never forgets a picture. The owner sat front row with donors. Cameras were everywhere because cameras are the new weather. The first siren hit when Evan cut across a restricted zone behind the carousel to get to the stage faster. The rides sighed to a stop like they were tired of pretending. People gasped and then clapped when the recorded voice said, "Safety check in progress." Nobody panicked. They held up their phones to feel useful. On the booth screen, the playlist ticked toward the sponsor montage. I lifted the mic for the house PA and said what I always say in test mode. "Please stand clear while we reset." My voice slid over the crowd and then left them to the video. Logos, music. Then my 30 seconds were up. The screen shifted. Doorbell, heels, bag. Life 360 dots making a neat, polite line to Lot C. Receipts stacked, timestamps like nails. Captions only for the funhouse whisper. No dramatics. Just proof laid out like tools on a drop cloth. The board chat on my phone detonated. The owner looked from screen to stage to Evan and back. Donors leaned in toward the gossip like flowers toward heat. Maya's smile, that perfect PR smile, flickered as if the power browned out. She looked at me across the glare and mouthed a word I won't repeat. I was already crossing the catwalk behind the lights. He hit the funhouse door at speed. I took the maintenance bypass and met him inside the maze where I had set a single soft light to make 10 reflections. He swung first. He always swung first. I stepped left and let him hit glass with his shoulder. He grunted, angry and winded. I body-checked him into the padded column and felt the hollow drum of it through my ribs. I grabbed his jacket and pulled him close. "This is not what I do," I said. "But it's what you earned." I slapped him once, same as before. A punctuation mark. Then I let him go and he ran. He always ran where he should not. Out into Lot C. His convertible waited like a bad decision you keep making. It was back, yes, but it was not right. I had spent an hour on lunch break feeding foam packing peanuts from ops into the open car, through the gap under the cover. When he yanked the cover off, it snowed white inside the cabin. He swore, tried to start it. The boot was fresh, bright, legal, and heavy. Parking had been invited back. The owner arrived with 2 men from the office. His voice had that careful softness bosses use when they are sharpening a knife. "Keys, badge," he said to Evan. Evan turned to Maya for rescue. She stepped to the mic instead, voice amplified into a thin thread that carried all the way to me. "This is harassment," she said. "He obsessed over me for months. He said he would get me a promotion if I helped make Caleb look better to the board. I did this for you, Caleb. I did it for us." I laughed. I could not help it. It came out low and mean and smaller than it felt in my head. Behind me, rides hummed as systems reset. Around me, people lifted their phones higher, new angles for the same simple truth. She stepped toward me in the aisle between benches. "Say something," she said, voice not on a mic now. "Tell them you asked me to keep the peace. Tell them you wanted this job." "I wanted respect," I said. "You traded me for a wristband." Her face went flat, like she had stepped outside of it and left only the makeup and bones. On the screen, the final caption from my file rolled without sound. "He called you starfish." The crowd did not know what it meant. She did. She swayed like someone had taken air from the room. Evan, to his credit, kept moving. Fight or flight. He chose flight. He threw the car in reverse and learned how a boot says no. The car lurched and stopped, and the foam erupted out of the cabin like snow in a cheap remake. People laughed because people are cruel when they can be. He left the car and ran on foot with his hand on his cheek where my hand had said punctuation. Dry peanuts clung to his jacket. He slipped once and caught himself on the hydrant that had earned him his nickname behind his back. I walked to the booth and lifted the house mic. "Please stand clear while we complete the safety reset," I said. My voice was calm. My hands were not. Maya moved to grab the mic from me. I kept it. She looked into my face for the husband she thought would save her and found a man who had mapped every corridor of this place and of her. "Run," I said, not loud, not on the mic. She did not. She stood in the light and let it do what light does. The siren rose for the final reset. The lights hit full. The marquee showed the last frame, the benign logo we always end on, a lie returning to duty. I watched Evan run, hands up, face down, toward the dark edge of the pier where cameras get bored. I watched the owner take Maya's mic and cut her from the program without a script. I held the house mic and felt it warm in my palm like a small animal that trusted me. I understood that I had become the man who flips breakers and decides who gets to glow. People cheered because they thought the show was back on. Foam skittered across the lot like cheap confetti. Lisa stood near the vendor carts with her arms folded, eyes on me, not smiling and not frowning, just counting. I clicked the mic once and let silence drop over the pier like a sheet. I looked at Maya and then at the crowd and then at the white car with its lid of peanuts, and I gave them one line to hold. "This is me, promoted," I said. The siren climbed to its bright peak. The crowd reached for their phones again. The owner turned toward me with a look that said I would not be fired tonight. Evan tripped at the edge of Lot C and went down hard on his pride. Maya stood under the marquee glow that hid nothing. The wind off the ocean tasted like pennies again. The siren drilled into bone. A kid near the railing clapped because noise means fun when you are small. Two donors in plastic ponchos argued in whispers that were not quiet. Security jogged toward Evan in that sideways way that says, "Do not escalate." He looked back and misread the distance. He tried to hurdle a chain and whacked his shin. The chain sang. He swallowed a yell and kept limping. I could have turned the siren off, but I let it ride for one more long breath so the night learned my voice. Maya reached for me again. "Caleb, please," she said. My name bent under her voice like a bracket. "We can fix this if we talk." "We did talk," I said. "All week. You just outsourced the listening." Her mouth opened and then closed. Makeup is good at pretending to be skin until the heat shows up. Under the lights, a small crack opened at the corner of her eye. It did not make me feel better. It did not make me feel worse. It made me feel finished. The owner spoke into his walkie. Lights rose,